My name is Rachel Clark. When I was asked to come here, thanks to the United Way and Walrus, by the way, they said to me, you're going to follow the president of Massey College and a brilliant comedian. And I said I thought this was about success. So I'm going to give it my best here. When I was growing up, my father instilled in me the belief of what he thought would make a person successful. He would talk about things like perseverance and hard work, being steadfast and working towards your goals despite any adversity that you would face along the way. Being positive in that things will always work out in the end, and believing in yourself that you can accomplish anything. When you hear people speak about success, these are some of the qualities that they say are paramount to it. And my father, as I am, were white. What I want to talk to you about is that these ideals and others are only true if you are in a position where privilege allows those traits to be success factors. Through the community work that I have done and my personal experience, what I find is that success and how to achieve it looks drastically different if you are a part of a marginalized community, such as transgender people or women of color, or if you are impoverished. Your chances of achieving success through hard work, perseverance, and positivity and self-affirmation, therefore, are low. Less privilege is correlated to a greater success barrier. When I talk about privilege to people and what it means to success, they often bristle and say, I'm not privileged. Because we've associated privilege with wealth or through the things that we've acquired. Inasmuch, I have been personally influenced by Peggy McIntosh's Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. If you haven't read it, I would recommend it. In it, it helps us to recognize that privilege isn't always about wealth. But here, when we are talking about success, I wanted to demystify the just work hard and you will make it myth. I view success as something that everyone can achieve, but some people can achieve it a great deal easier. For example, if we were to correlate success to finishing a 100-yard dash, if you're white and straight and cisgender, meaning that your gender identity corresponds to the one that you were assigned at birth, and male, you'll start at the 60-yard line. If you're a woman, you'll start at the 30-yard line. If you're a person of color, you'll start at the beginning. And if you're a trans woman of color, you'll start at the beginning and have a hurdle every 10 yards. This example is created through numerous studies on inequality. So when we say that hard work and perseverance equals success, we must also recognize that this work is exponentially harder for some more than others. In my rather simplistic, although I think sadly accurate, example, we can start to understand why our statement on success might not be shared with others. Last year, 325 transgender people, most of them trans women of color, were murdered worldwide. And the reason for that was simply because they're transgender. Physical violence towards transgender communities is at all-time highs, and that's just the incidences that are reported. In all cases, it's due to phobia, which in turn is due to long-standing and unfair narratives about transgender experiences, usually put forth by faith communities, through misguided armchair psychology and bad theology. To be a transgender person on its own is an act of courage, and in turn, being a transgender person who is adept at survival is a success that we internally celebrate. But I think it's time that we externally recognize it. All of this is because our society has made certain that people who are different, who are outside the norm, have not been able to participate in success. How can we say that we are successful when it's done from a place of great privilege? It is, for me, one of the more profound sociological questions of the 21st century. I think that we must start redefining success from being celebrated only by a few to one where success is celebrated amongst everyone. For nearly 10 years now, I have advocated for myself and others who have asked me to do so as a transgender person living in Canada. In that vein, success for me is present when I see others succeed based upon a small part of the work that I have done. This is anti-privilege, but for me is a much greater and more rewarding and selfless pursuit. Also today, there's a great movement in most organizations in understanding that embracing diversity and ensuring equality, that everyone starts at the same place, no matter who they are, is helping their bottom lines. It is because diverse perspectives accelerate and in some cases are the cause of success. Diversity within leadership in the organization results in higher employee satisfaction, Gallup studies show. In that survey, 60% of staff working for companies with a high level of diversity responded that they are engaged in their work. This is strongly contrasting to the responses of employees working for companies with a low degree of diversity, where only 11% of those same employees felt engaged. So I posit the following to you: to imagine a world where success is something that we share in together, where we start at the same starting line with an aim to finish together, where there are no barriers in the way, and those who are faster help those who move more slowly. What if we reveled in the success of others, knowing that their success is ours too? It is difficult to not imagine that we would create and the problems we would solve as a species would be limitless. What is success? It is the accomplishment of a purpose, according to the dictionary. But I think it's not the individual accomplishment which makes us great. It's the pursuit of it together and the world that we will create in doing so. Thank you very much.